Now, Senator, first on Georgia, you just heard what Matt Finn said. Why do we need a judge to step in after everything that the country has gone through over the last 2 months to get these observers to have actual access? This is unreal to me.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And this is why we need some action at the federal level. This is one of the reasons I'm going to object tomorrow. Congress actually needs to do something and pass election integrity laws. And we need to have laws that say clearly that the ballot watchers have access to these ballots as they're counted, absentee ballots. We need to make sure that mail-in balloting is not fraudulent, that you can't have ballot harvesting, for instance. I mean, it's just ridiculous that you've got to go county by county in these states and just hope, like you pointed out, hope that you get a judge who actually knows the law, hope that you get a judge with the courage to rule, and then hope that it's not too late. I mean, it's just insane, and we've got to stop this.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who just voted this afternoon and said, I face voter suppression. It's a good friend of mine. I went to vote today. I was told I was at the wrong place, same place I voted for the last 20 years. They sent me to another place, told me that I was in the wrong place again, and then I went to a third place where I finally voted. I mean, this is like a very good friend of mine who I just got this from as the show was starting. So, again, this is not making people feel better about. I mean, we're waiting to see what happens with the results, and it's obviously going to be very close. But, I mean, why didn't the Senate already have hearings on this, Senator? Why didn't Mitch McConnell convene hearings immediately on this after the election?
Fantastic question. I think the answer is the Senate, Congress never does anything unless they're pressured. And again, that's one of the reasons that I'm going to object tomorrow. This is my opportunity to stand up and to bring this issue to the fore and say Congress has got to get off its backside and do something. We need to have an investigation. We need to have hearings. We need to have new laws. If we don't do that, nothing is ever going to change. Things will just go on the same way, status quo. We'll see these same problems, these same irregularities over and over and over. Something's got to change.
All right, Senator, we have to get to this. Obviously, the other big story was what happened at your house last night. Now, you were in Missouri. Your wife, your newborn daughter were home alone in suburban D.C. when this happened. Watch.
What do we do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Senator Hawley's neighbors may be concerned about what's going on here. When democracy is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back.
Now, in response, this was to your challenge to the Electoral College certification, which you just mentioned. So take us through what happened.
Well, so first of all, as you say, I mean, I was at home in Missouri. I've got a newborn daughter, 7 weeks old, who can't travel. So my wife was here with her at our house in the D.C. area, and these Antifa thugs, they're an Antifa-affiliated group, show up under cover of darkness. You know, they don't have the guts to come during the day. Under cover of darkness with bullhorns. They start screaming and shouting. My wife comes out with the baby. You know, she's alone. She comes out with the baby and says, please leave. My husband's not home. Please leave. The neighbor's here. You're disturbing everybody. You're frightening me. They shout her down with the bullhorns. They then, after she goes in the house, they then come up to the door. They start ringing the doorbell, pounding on the door. They have a bullhorn at the door. They're looking in the windows. They're yelling at my wife, come out, come out, come out. She's in there alone with the baby. Some neighbors finally call the cops because they're terrified. And that was the whole point, Laura. The whole point was to terrorize and to intimidate. And they just ran into somebody who wouldn't be intimidated, and my wife and me, and we're just not going to take it.
Senator, the local police spokesman is pushing back tonight, saying that the protest was peaceful and that they basically dispersed. He didn't think it was that big of a deal. But I read that and I said, well, what if the roles were reversed and some Trump fans or someone banged on the door of Stacey Abrams' house and started screaming that she shouldn't do ballot harvesting or whatever she's doing down in Georgia? I don't know, would they call that no big deal? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm glad that the police did come. Neighbors called the police because they were so frightened, and it took the police to actually arrive to disperse the crowd. They were there long before these thugs were, long before the police got there.
Well, they're
shouting,
saying that you're
screaming,
exaggerating
again, going to our door.
Yeah, they're saying that you're exaggerating
the
whole thing. It's not that big of a deal. But we know if the facts were reversed and it was, you know, a Democrat woman, especially a minority, with the similar facts, they would have, you know, claimed it was racist and everything else.
Yeah, exactly right. And I just say, look at the video. I mean, you can see the video and judge for yourselves. I mean, and you can, they call it now, I love this Antifa group now says, oh, it was a candlelight vigil. We were singing songs, you know, like it's a church choir or something, with bullhorns, you know, screaming at my wife, demanding, come out, pounding on our door, knowing after she's asked him to please leave, shouting down neighbors who come out and try to talk to him. They turn the bullhorns on him, won't leave until police show up. I mean, this is unbelievable. The bottom line is, Laura, nobody should have this happen to him. If it can happen to my family, it can happen to any family in America. People should be safe in their homes. This kind of garbage should not happen.
Senator, do you think Vice President Pence should not accept the certification of tomorrow's election?
You know, my understanding is, Laura, that under the 12th Amendment and under the relevant laws, the vice president, he opens the certificates and then he hands them over to the clerk of the Senate, the House, and they count the votes. I don't think the vice president actually counts under the law. I mean, he's sort of just there. This is really on Congress. This is why it's important to object and why I intend to object tomorrow, because Congress really has to take a stand here. If Congress doesn't take a stand, I mean, there's really nothing that can be done. So Congress has got to take a stand, and those of us who have heard from our constituents, the people of Missouri expect me to stand up tomorrow and say, whoa, there were big problems with this election. There were major election integrity issues. There needs to be an investigation. There need to be changes to the law, and that's what I'm going to do tomorrow.
Well, they don't win these seats in Georgia. There ain't going to be any changes to the law. It's only going to get worse. So, Senator, we're glad your wife and your newborn are okay, but unacceptable what happened to you. Anyone should say it's unacceptable. Thank you so much.